Hello and welcome to another Fotospeed tutorial. This week what we're going to be doing is looking at cyanotype printing and how we go about creating these amazing traditional prints from our cyanotype processing kit. Now we're going to be taking you through the whole process from start to finish, starting with how we coat the paper, create the digital negative, and then the exposing of that negative, and hopefully take away a lot of the guesswork involved in these traditional processes and how I go about creating some amazing cyanotypes and go through my process. Okay, so let's start by coating the paper. Okay, so we start by putting some sensitizer in the middle of the page, and then by using the brush, we just brush that all over. Now we don't need to put a lot in here because it will go quite a long way, this sensitizer. And once the page is coated, we put in a dark place just to allow it to dry. Okay, so now the paper is coated, what we need to do is start preparing our negative to print. So I'm going to do this in Lightroom. Now you can do this in Photoshop as well, but I'm going to be doing this demonstration in Lightroom. Now the first thing we need to do is just click the black and white button to just turn it to black and white. Next thing we need to do is just scroll down to our tone curve just here on the right hand side of the develop module. And what I'm going to do is just invert this tone curve for us so we get a negative. Now we have our negative. And now what we need to do is just adjust things very slightly. We don't need blown highlights out, just bring things in a little bit, kind of make it so it looks pretty reasonable there. What I don't want is any really kind of bright spots like I have in this one here. If I move that mark on the tone curve a little bit farther, I just want to bring it back because the cyanotype process will add a little bit of contrast to it as well. So I just want to bring it down so I've got a nice grey tone in there and a nice even tone from shadows to highlights. Okay, so now we've got our negative ready to print. So now what we need to do is just go to the print module and then select our paper size. So say we're on A4 here, just select our A4 and then just create a page with this negative on here. Just click rotate to fit there. And there we have our negative ready to print at the size of A4. Now we can print borderless as well on here. I always just like to have a little bit of an edge on there so I can handle it a little bit easier and a little bit better in there. And then we just go through to print. Now we can assign a profile in here. So we're going to be printing on the DC film, so we'd apply the DC film profile in here, and then we just go through to our print module and just print it out on the paper there. Or should I say, not the paper, the DC film. Okay, so we have our digital negative here. Now, what we need to do to start with is I just want to run a test print on this, just to find out what our exposure is going to be around. Now, I'm using a light box here, but you can do this outside on a sunny day as well. The reason why I do this and don't just kind of jump in at say 6 or 8 minutes is because it will save me paper in the long run. Now it's a little bit of a darkroom technique we used to just to actually save paper and just save time as well, trying to guess what the exposure is going to be. So to do this, what I do is I coat a piece of paper and then I will just cut this into little strips like this, and then I will just lay my negative within the light box and then just put the paper on top just like so, and then I'll give this a base exposure of around 2 minutes. I will work from there in minute increments and then we will work out our exposure. So we will start off at 2 minutes and then I'll add a minute and probably do 5 strips. So we will then end up with the 7-minute range of where our paper will be. So let's start off with that 2 minutes to start with, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we've done our 2-minute base exposure, and now what I'm going to do is just slip a piece of card just underneath, just there, just so I am a little bit, probably 1.5 inches just in from there, and then I'm just going to put the lid back down, latch it, and then just do another minute. Okay, so now we've done our 2 minutes all over, and now we've done our extra minute on these. So very simply, we're just going to move this card along a little bit now, and then just shut the lid again and do another minute, and we're just going to carry on until we have our 7-minute exposures in here. Okay, so now we've done all our exposures, so now we're just going to go and wash this off, and then we can see then where we're going to be exposing our paper. Okay, so I'm just washing this off in normal water, just in the sink. Keep it running as well. Okay, so now we've got our test strip, it's all washed and dried. We can have a look and see where our exposure is going to be. Now, at the 2-minute mark, I can see everything is a little bit too light and not enough detail in there. So we've got to start just moving along. And as this detail, as we move along this test strip, the detail does start to increase for us. So I think we're going to be around the 6 to 7-minute mark. Now we've got a nice detail at 6 minutes, but the blue is better at 7 minutes, I would say, and the detail and the shadows and things is there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for 7 minutes, and then we can have a look and see what our cyanotype is going to look like. So let's make that exposure at 7 minutes and see what we get. My print is all washed and dried, and I have to say I'm really happy with it. I think 7 minutes was the exact amount of time, to be honest. It's given a really nice blue colour to the print, and also we've got loads of detail in here. Every time I do one of these, I am amazed by how much detail is captured on that negative that we created through Lightroom, and how much is transferred onto here as well. Now, for a process that's over 100 years old, we can still get amazing prints from it as well. And I think that's why I love cyanotype and what it can give us as well, because it just gives you that amazing print, and there's nothing quite like it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video on how to create cyanotypes. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and click the thumbs up button as well. Any comments you have, please write them below and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And I really look forward to seeing any of your cyanotypes you post. Thanks very much. Bye bye.